What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is Girl MF Michael Fletcher alongside Anthony Flair and Michael Bullock. Guys, we're just going to be very blunt with you guys. We got a lot to cover, not a lot of time to cover it because it is going to be a long ass show. We got AEW Rampage first, Smackdown Live. Then on top of that, we got a preview Wrestlemania Backlash that's going down tomorrow night. Then on the TXN Sports World side, we got the Celtics, the Rangers, the Bruins. Not in that particular order, but we got to cover a lot of ground. And there's a lot that got left behind. So, good lord, I hope you boys got some decaf or some sodas because we're probably gonna be burning the midnight oil tonight. I'm just saying. So, with that said, all right, let's start it off. Let's try to dive in, and we're gonna start out with AEW Rampage, which started earlier than expected at 5:30 Eastern time yesterday. So they actually did AEW Rampage first. Therefore, if we're going to chronological order, Rampage actually gets the leadoff spot, and then we'll go into SmackDown. So we started off Rampage with the match as it was Tony Storm and Ruby Soho versus Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Jamie Hayter. And when it was all said and done, the face team wins the match in 8 minutes and 41 seconds, which was a solid opener. Good match, good battle, fine wrestling matchup. I think it was enjoyable for what it was worth. I could give this about 2.5 stars. So, Anthony Florio, I give it to you.
All right, MF, 2.5 to 2 3/4 of a star from me. The pace was steady, picked up nicely as they worked toward the finish. And after Baker and Hayter came close to winning with a string of hard-hitting moves, Tony Storm scored the win for her team by pinning Dr. Britt Baker DMD. So huge win there. And there's an extra layer of confidence to everything Ruby does. Even if she and her opponent find themselves about to make a mistake, Ruby can adjust on the fly. And the spot where Soho laid herself across the top turnbuckle to prevent Storm from hitting it is so old school. You don't see it much these days. And the sequence Baker and Hayter used on Storm near the end of the bout looked great. So 2.5, 2 3/4 of a star to start things off, and it sets up the big match and to kick off the Owen Hart Women's Tournament with Tony Storm and Jamie Hayter. So I think that goes down Wednesday night on Dynamite. So we'll see about that. 2.5, 2 3/4. Michael Bullock, come on in. It's all yours.
Yeah, 2.5 stars for me. I mean, it was a fine match to start it off. I mean, yeah, it definitely gives us a little preview of what we're going to see in the women's side of the Owen Hart Memorial Tournament. So, yeah, there's really nothing more for me to add. So let's move on, Fletch.
Yeah, so here we go. The next match that we had was Hook going one on one with JD Drake. Hook won the match in 1 minute and 25 seconds, but that's not really the thing that we need to talk about, guys. The next thing that we have to talk about here was that Danhausen appeared and told Hook how Tony Nese has challenged him. Then Danhausen had a proposal for Hook. The crowd was going to Hookhausen. We already know how that's been running around the water coolers lately. They were looking for a mea culpa or an olive branch, and Hook basically is like he picked up the chips, then threw it on the ground. So basically, Hook, you know what? He was kind of like, nah, I'm not really interested in it, whatever. So we're not going to talk about it. We will get into this one. Um, Yuki Sakaraka versus Riho. Yes, Anthony's favorite female wrestler. He always used to call him the. I remember it was Dee Dee Woodson. It was they used to call her like the little porcelain doll that you would see in Japan. Well, she's back from injuries and everything else. Which I believe this is the final match in the qualifier for the Owen Hart Women's Tournament, and Riho gets the win. She gets the invite in 9 minutes and 19 seconds. Anthony Florio, it's yours.
I'll give it a solid 3 stars for the effort here. It was a lot of fun and showed how far Yuka Sakazaki has come since AEW started. And if you notice, Sakazaki has put on a bit of muscle since we last saw her. Makes her look more capable of dishing out a little punishment. And the announcers noted that Riho wearing black gear was slightly out of character for her and might indicate a shift in personality, but she acted the same as she always does. And Sakazaki hit a flatliner from the top rope that looked like it would have hurt her more than Riho. But yes, it is the last match of the qualifiers. The tournament is set. The bracket's been unveiled. And Riho in the first round is going to square off against Ruby Soho. So that should be an interesting matchup. And we already know about Toni Storm going up against Jamie Hayter. And we also have Hikaru Shida going up against Red Velvet. And Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, has drawn the Joker. There's going to be a Joker in the women's tournament as well.
So,
and Dr. Britt drew her.
You already know whenever the Joker is thrown, you already know that could be that could be anybody from any promotion, and that could be bad news for Dr. Britt Baker. Horrible news for Dr. Britt Baker.
Or Samoa Joe on the men's side.
Yeah, word to Dr. Britt Baker. Be careful who you trash talk with, because you don't know who you're going to be facing. And as Jerry Lawler would say, always keep your words soft and sweet, because you might have to eat them later.
And the scary thing is that with the Joker, it could be anybody. We could be talking about a woman from Ring of Honor. It could be a woman who used to be in WWE. It could be someone from the Impact locker room. It could be someone who is currently on the AEW roster, or it could be another person from outside of the core 4 that we'd like to talk about. This could be a
Forbidden Door?
Forbidden Door, absolutely. Because you know they like to throw that Forbidden Door, and you know that Forbidden Door has opened too many times,
including a pay-per-view. Let's not forget the Forbidden Door special pay-per-view on June 26th.
Yeah, absolutely.
In Chicago.
So anything can happen, and it could be anyone in that who could come out of that Forbidden Door, or whatever door it could be. My goodness. And for Britt Baker, of all people, to get the Joker.
And Joe got it on the men's side.
Yeah. Well, Joe, as a matter of fact, I'm hearing rumors that it could be Antonio Costantino. If you know who that is, that's actually Cesaro from WWE.
If they get Cesaro, oh my God, Joe and Cesaro? You want to talk? That's a Be a Man fight waiting to happen.
Yup. That's the rumor that it could be.
Oh my goodness.
It could be Cesaro as the Joker.
Wow. That would be something. That would be something. If AEW gets Cesaro, that's a big steal for them. And I have all the confidence in the world that they'll make him the star that he should have been in WWE because of the Beyond Raw deal that he got.
Yeah.
So, but anywho, 3 stars for this effort. So not much more to say. Michael Bullock, what do you make of all this?
Well, it's like I said. I mean, if Cesaro is the Joker for Joe, oh boy, that's a definite Be a Man fight there. So we'll wait and find out when it comes this time. So, anywho, getting to this, I'll give this an even 3 stars. I mean, it was a good match here, and Riho solidifies her spot in the tournament. So, Yeah, so there's really nothing more for me to add. So Fletch, it is yours.
Yeah, without a doubt. It's going to be very interesting to watch. It's going to be very interesting to see. And look, solid 3-star match. You know what? I got to say it. Ever since Riho became the inaugural AEW Women's World Champion, she was a great ambassador for the title. I thought she did a great job as champion. And obviously there was a little bit of concern because you didn't know if this was going to turn out to be anything better, whatever the case may be. And at the end of the day, I thought they absolutely did an incredible job handling the situation. At the end of the day, of course, the outcome was never in doubt. And for me, the right person won. Riho deserves to go through. She's been there for a long time. And now she gets her opportunity to fight for the title. So, or to win the tournament. Dr. Britt getting the Joker, that could be very interesting because, like I said, it could be anybody. Anybody. Now I heard the one rumor I'm hearing that it could be possibly Ember Moon from formerly of WWE and NXT. That's the rumor I'm hearing, that she is the one that got the Joker and that she's going to be possibly there. Now, one other person that I've heard that it could be, and if it is true, one name that's getting thrown around is Deonna Purrazzo. Now, we already know her body of work and her, well, hell, you just saw her just last week putting the Ring of Honor Women's title on the line. She lost it to Mercedes Martinez. Could she come back, fight in what undoubtedly could be one of the biggest tournaments AEW is putting? So we'll see. Anything is possible. Yeah, absolutely. So next up, and I believe this is the main event of the evening. Yes, it is. All right. So it was Jay Lethal going one-on-one. This was against Konoseki Tagashi or Tekshi. Of course, my Japanese not really the best. I apologize. But Jay Lethal wins the match.
It's Kanasaki Takashita.
He's not. I never heard of this guy. This guy can't be from New Japan. I've never heard of this guy. Could he be Pro Wrestling Noah?
I will look into that and get back to you on that.
Actually, I could check. I'll check it right now. Because I don't believe he is. Because
DDT Pro Wrestling.
DDT Pro Wrestling. Never heard of that company before. Man, they went off the reservation on this one. Well, anyway, Lethal wins the match in 9:38. Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
Yeah, to me, this was the fight of the night. I'll give this about maybe 3.25, teetering on 3.5 on this. I mean, it was a solid match for what it was worth, and so for me, there's really nothing more for me to add. So Fletch, it is yours.
Yeah, I'll give it 3.25. Look, it was a solid match. It was good wrestling. I don't think there was anything bad about it. And yeah, Floria was yours.
Yeah, I'll give it Fight of the Night honors as well. 3.25 stars. Solid match, and the post-match angle helped keep the feud between Jay Lethal and Samoa Joe going. Lethal's hip toss into a cartwheel dropkick was smooth. The elevation Takashita got when he hit a slingshot cross body over the top rope was wild. And Takashita hitting a close turn Lethal inside out from the top rope was the spot of the night. 3.25 stars overall review.
Yeah, I gave this about 7.5. I thought it was an all right show. Solid for what it was worth. There was really nothing too crazy to write home about. So, Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, about 7.5. I mean, three of the four matches were all. Well, we had a couple 3-star matches. We had one that was about 2.5, 2 3/4, and the other was the typical hook, delicious squash, and all that. So, it's some good angle advancement. So, yeah, 7.5. Bullock, your overall review, and then we'll get into the go home SmackDown or Wrestlemania Backlash.
Yeah, 7 to 7.5 for me. I thought this was a solid show. The matches were good. There was obviously one bad match. So there's really nothing more to say. So it's onward to Friday Night SmackDown.
All right, so here we go. We started off with a promo segment. Obviously, this was Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair. Look, it's going to be one of those where finally we get it. They had a brawl. It was a nice pull-apart brawl. The hype for this match hasn't been that great, but the thing is that going into tomorrow night, I think the match will be fine. I think the I Quit element is going to be used really well. I think it's going to be an incredible matchup. For me, we'll wait and see how it plays out. We're going to be there tomorrow night to see this. Anthony Florio, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, we're definitely looking forward to that tomorrow night. No doubt about that. Solid start to the show in that it highlighted one of the brand's top feuds and injected some much needed intensity into it. After weeks of angles inexplicably centered around Drew Gulak, it was about damn time that Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair returned to the forefront and put the emphasis on their disdain for one another. Whether it is too late to rekindle fan engagement is the question. The reaction for Rousey at least suggests there is a moderate investment in a match that figures to be one of the premier bouts on the WrestleMania Backlash card. And Flair blamed everyone but herself, despite her own toying with Aaliyah last week for her loss in the Beat the Clock I Quit challenge. Rousey interrupted a pre-match attack by Flair on Aaliyah, leading to the brawl on the floor. And that's really all there is to say on that. It was definitely one of the segments of the night, no question about that. They had promoted a match with Charlotte Flair and Aaliyah, but that was more angle than match, honestly. And Bullock and I, during our SmackDown chat last night, we couldn't help but feel bad for Aaliyah. You guys especially know how much I love that beautiful young dame. I really do.
She didn't even get an entrance.
Nope, she got a jobber-like entrance. That's what she did. Yeah, that's exactly right. And I'll tell you what, my beautiful bougie queen didn't stand a chance. And Bullock went as far as to say, and MF, you're hearing this for the first time, he said that what happened to Aaliyah last night was a berry job, and I 100% agree with him. Here's a young lady who made her debut on the main roster late last year, like right around fall or so, on October, November, and picked up a big win in a 6-woman tag match. She was scheduled to be on the women's series team for SmackDown, and then Sonya removes her, and then she had the big moment earlier this year where she beat Natty in 3.17 seconds, which led to the Aaliyah 3.17 shirt becoming a household name. And what has she really done since?
Yeah.
She's getting the NXT treatment. She's getting the same treatment she got in NXT.
Yeah, they just haven't found anything for her right now because of the fact that Charlotte because look at all the women right now who's actually in the forefront on SmackDown Live. When you got Charlotte, Ronda,
Sasha,
Shayna Baszler, and Natalya.
Naomi.
Then you got Naomi and Sasha. And now you got Lacey Evans. And Lacey just made her return. So, unfortunately, Aaliyah kind of the wrong place at the wrong time. And now she went from being an it girl to now she's gotten lost in the shuffle. And it's not her fault. And that's the biggest thing is that she's done everything that she's done everything she's been that company girl. We haven't heard any drama, no problems coming from Aaliyah. We haven't heard any backstage heat on her. So I think it's just that they just don't have anything for her right now, even though they gave her this story with Charlotte Flair. But the thing is, there's no major payoff for her at the moment. I think that's the best way to say it.
Agreed.
So, yeah.
So, that's it.
It's unfortunate. Very unfortunate. But, yeah. Bullock, I guess, Anthony, if you're done, Bullock is yours.
Yeah, Bullock, it's all yours now. And that's exactly what we talked about during our SmackDown chat last night, Bullock, about what Charlotte was doing to Aaliyah. And you said it was a berry job. I'm inclined to agree.
Exactly. That's what it was. I mean, it was a berry job. And, yeah, like you said, this was more of an angle than a segment here. And, yeah, it was one of the segments of the night. I mean, the fans, they really haven't been that engaged into this rivalry, but I believe once we get to tomorrow night, I think the match will be good. I mean, with the I Quit rules that are put into this, so we'll just have to wait and see. But and I'll be quite honest with you guys about Aaliyah and Florio. You're not gonna love what I have to say. I think when it comes to the next round, I mean, I got a bad feeling when they start doing more releases, especially when it comes to the main roster.
You think she's on the chopping block, Bullock? Are you about to be the Grim Reaper?
I think you just said it for me. I think she's going to be on the chopping block, as much as I hate to say it. Because the thing is,
Derek Ferreira did a little SmackDown rant video, and he said the exact same thing.
Yeah, and the thing is like, what's there for her? I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah.
And if there is nothing there for her, then I just got this bad feeling that I think she's going to get cut. Yeah. I mean, and I feel bad for her. I mean, she didn't do anything wrong to deserve this. So, I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't know, guys. I just have this bad feeling about it.
I understand. I get it. All
right.
right,
so there's nothing more to say. Now you go, Fletch.
All right. Officially, first match of the night. It was Shayna Baszler versus Sasha Banks. Shayna Baszler wins the match in 8 minutes and 5 seconds. Obviously, this gives Natalya and Shayna a lot of momentum going into their championship fight that goes down tomorrow night. Even though I think all three of us will agree going into the preview that we believe that the champions will remain the champions, but there's that seed of doubt of them possibly pulling the trigger on us and calling for an upset. But I'm pretty sure that when this is all said and done, Shayna gets a nice win, but I don't think it's gonna hold or it's gonna hold after that. But we'll see. Anthony, it's yours.
Well, the match is going to be next Friday night on SmackDown. That this women's tag team championship match with Naomi and Sasha Banks defending against Natalya and Shayna Baszler. I think it would have made a nice little addition to this card, to the WrestleMania Backlash card, to be honest with you. But they obviously have other plans, so whatevs. But anywho, 2.5, 2 3/4 of a star. Good match that would have been better with more time, less commercial interruption, and a more definitive finish. This was a quality way to keep the focus on this championship feud while also heating up Shayna Baszler and Natalya, who needed to build credibility as true number one contenders. And Natty interfered to turn the tide in her partner's favor. Banks wiped out Natty with a head scissors on the floor while building momentum. The Queen of Hearts aided Baszler in the tainted win. The heels attacked and beat down the champions ahead of their impending title bout next week. And that's really all there is to say there. So Natalya and Shayna, they do have the advantage going in to the title match next Friday night in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. But I just don't see the champions losing the titles. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Sasha and Naomi find a way to retain the titles. So that's just all I know. That's just all I can say on it. So 2.5, 2 3/4. Michael Bullock. Challengers have the momentum, but I just think the champions will find a way come Friday night.
Yeah, I think the champions will find a way to remain the champions come Friday night when the titles are on the line here. So, but you never know. We'll have to wait and see on it. So, I'm with you. 2.5 to 2 3/4 of a star. I mean, fine match for what it was. I mean, it definitely gives the heel team some momentum, but yeah, let's all be honest, guys. I think Sasha and Naomi are going to walk out still the champions. So there's really nothing more to say. Fletch, it's yours.
Yeah, I'm going to say about 2.5. I thought this was a fine match. They did a really good job with it. They did some emphasis on a lot of the stuff. Really nothing more to say. Next up, we had Gunther versus Drew Gulak. Gunther wins in 2:05. We're not going to talk about that. We're just going to blow right by that. Here's one we're going to definitely get into. Tables match. Ridge Holland and Sheamus versus Kofi and Xavier Woods. When it was all said and done, Ridge Holland and Sheamus wins the match. 12 minutes and 30 seconds. Michael Bullock, you lead off on this one.
Yeah, this was a good match here. I'll give this about maybe 3 1/4, 3.5 here. I mean, it was a fine tables match. I mean, obviously, the returning Butch really made a huge difference in this. I mean, without this, I mean, I think Kofi and Xavier would have won it, but obviously, they gave the win to Sheamus and Ridge Holland. So, yeah, so there's really nothing more for me to say. So, Fletch, it is yours.
Yeah, no doubt about it. This was a really good one. I really enjoyed this. This was about 2.5 to 3. I really enjoyed the body of work. I thought it was just amazing action left and right all the way to the very end. Look, I don't mind this rivalry. I think this rivalry's been pretty good. I kind of feel like maybe it's run its course now. I think it's time to move it on. But at the end of the day, I thought they did a really good job. This tables match was enjoyable for what it was worth. I had a good fun with it. Anthony, 2.5 to 3 for me. So it's yours.
3 to 3 1/4 for me, MF. Arguably the best match of their program to this point. It featured a great fiery comeback from New Day late. Kofi Kingston in particular was great and looked poised to put an exclamation point on the feud when Butch appeared for the first time in 2 weeks and aided the heels to win. Unfortunately, the heels winning suggests the feud will continue, a feud that ran its course a long time ago. The repetition, the fact that the heels always go over, and the lack of any act ready to aid Kingston and Woods in the face of a numbers disadvantage makes this a rivalry that needs to go the way of the dinosaurs, no matter how good this match actually was. Kingston launched himself off the top rope, coming down on Sheamus on the arena floor and driving him into the timekeeper's position. Michael Cole lost his mind on that spot. Kingston delivered a trust fall plancha and fired up, bringing up some much needed intensity to the bout. And that's really all there is to say on that. Butch coming back. Obviously, he's not missing anymore. I thought he was hanging with Perry Saturn and Moppy, but I get not. So that's just my little shtick on that. But other than that, great match. One of the fights of the night. You could also make an argument for fight of the night here. 3 to 3 1/4 stars for me. So with that said, MF, let's move on.
All right. And then we had a really cool moment. Obviously, they were talking about Lacey Evans, the final chapter in her life, what they call chapter 5. And it was really well done. It finally was the ultimate payoff. As Samantha Irvin, the ring announcer, basically introduced for the first time back on a SmackDown stage, Lacey Evans finally makes her debut, makes her return to WWE to a rousing ovation. You know what? You could tell. I think the vignettes worked. Everything that they've done up to this point has been very powerful, very emotional. I know for Dee Dee Woodson, I know she can relate with Lacey Evans. Her family is a military family. And I know Dee Dee will probably elaborate more deeper on this whenever we get her on the show. That her family is a military family, so she knows about that part of the life of and everything else. And Dee Dee has also gone through her own personal hardships and everything in her life. She is kind of so the Lacey Evans story kind of has a little bit of an effect with Dee Dee Woodson because of all the trials, the tribulations, everything that she had to go through. It was a mirror image. And I remember her talking about it with me a long time ago. This is before Florio got to know her, Bullock got to know her. She and I have been very close. We've been friends for almost 20 years. Our friendship actually started in 2002. So that's where me and her got to know each other really well. I got to know her family really well, and that's why it is like an older brother sister type of connection between me and Dee Dee. So she has talked about it to me very personally about that. So that's why I can say this without any reservations, because I know she would probably give me the blessing and say, yes, you can say this, Mike. So I think they did a really good job. This is going to be a major effect because it's gonna get her over with the women, especially the military moms, and for her, for her to shine that light about her darkness, what she went through to come to WWE and to work her way up to where she is now. Everybody's gonna be on her side. Everybody's gonna be hoping and praying for Lacey that that her run will be big and a monster. And maybe this is what she needed. She was poised at one time to become the Raw Women's Champion before she got pregnant. And now back on SmackDown, maybe, depending on how the results of Charlotte versus Ronda goes, maybe Lacey could be a contender, not right away, but maybe by WrestleMania next year, we might be talking about Lacey Evans possibly going after the SmackDown Women's title. Anthony Florio, what says you?
It was a great moment, yes, but the thing is, there was something that bothered me a little bit about it. The interesting introduction by Samantha Irvin, the ring announcer, who I love. The crowd in Long Island welcomed her with a favorable response, and you noticed Samantha Irvin, during that introduction, she said, and I quote, "Lacey Evans asks that you show the proper respect." In a bit which has to be leading to a heel edge to this new quote-unquote inspirational character. That bothered me a little bit. But other than that, the crowd in Long Island welcomed her with a favorable response, and it will be interesting to see if the pleas for the proper respect and applause leads to heel heat in the near future. So that rubbed me a little bit the wrong way, but other than that, it was a great moment. Hopefully they'll find a better way to word that. So that's all there is to say on that. Didn't really need the introduction, to be honest with you. It didn't really need it, but if you had done it without that, then I would have been then everything would have been fine and dandy. But
is it? Yeah, because that's also a thing. Is it possible that they might be trying to play maybe a heel Lacey here? Because with I just that would make no sense though. With
no,
everything
especially after all those vignettes. Yeah.
after all that vignettes, with everything that she was doing, I mean, for her to kind of revert back to the sassy Southern Belle here, I think that would be a mistake. I think WWE would really, I think they would miss the mark on this badly.
Absolutely. And like I said, I mean, yes, it was a fine moment. You know, the crowd still gave her a favorable response, but
I think Samantha Irvin might have messed up. I hope that was her just making the mistake on that, but we'll see.
I hope so. I really do, because I want to get behind the character. I do. So, you know, we'll have to wait and see on that. But they still welcomed her with a night. They gave her a nice reception anyway, despite that. So, other than that, minor little detail, fine segment, fine moment. So, Michael Bullock, what do you make of all that?
Yeah, I'm with you, Florio. I mean, that part where Samantha Irvin basically said that you give her the proper respect. I mean, it makes me feel like maybe a heel turn in the future, but to me, and I'm with you guys, a heel turn makes absolutely no sense. I mean, you put all these great vignettes of her only to turn her heel. It makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, other than that, I mean, this was fine. I mean, I really hope they keep her as a baby face, but you never know with Benny Mac and Bruce Pritchard here. So nothing more to say, Fletch. It's yours.
Absolutely, really nothing more to add. One more segment that was RK Bro, the Usos, Roman, and Drew McIntyre. This was a brawl. They fought. Anthony Florio.
MF. There was actually a match before this with Sami Zayn and Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's an automatic NA.
Oh,
Sammy
okay.
won Sammy won the match by count out.
Count out. Yeah, right. All right.
So,
yeah, you're right. All right.
So I mean that's why. Sure. 9 minutes 15 seconds. Sammy wins by count out. I mean, do we really want to talk about it?
No, I just wanted to make sure we knew it. I just wanted to make sure it was addressed. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
So in the results, that is. So
yeah.
It's automatically an NA. You're right. Despite the fact that it was a good match, nowhere near as great as their 5-star in NXT, but still, it is an NA. But if I had to put a rating on it, I would have given it about 3 or so.
Yeah. And now we go into it. So Anthony, I believe you lead off on this anyway.
Yeah, the segment. Yeah, okay.
So I mean, if there wasn't any more excitement to this 6-man tag, I get it. The belts are not on the line. I know we're pissed about it. But man, did they drive the hammer home on this. Good way to close the show.
Yeah, it was good, but at the same time, I got to bring the constructive criticism and be the man who tells it like it is here. I got to be honest. It was a disappointing segment in that the tone felt off from the beginning. And the brawl that ended it failed to create more of a buzz than existed prior to it. Yes, it was a perfectly acceptable fight, yes, but it lacked the intensity and urgency one would expect from the last angle before a major event. And that's really all there is to say on that. I mean, I was hoping for more. I wanted to see a little bit more, to be honest with you. But other than that, I mean, you know, it was just a filler segment, to be honest with you. But I got a good feeling that the match we're going to see tomorrow night is going to deliver. I mean, yes, we're still butthurt about the titles not being on the line, especially after they promised that to us at first. But they obviously have bigger plans, and it's obviously leading to Drew and Roman, which we're going to get into when we get to the Backlash preview in just a little bit. So not much more to say here. Michael Bull, thoughts on this closing?
Yeah, I'm with Florio on this one. I mean, as good as this segment was, I'm sorry to say it, but I feel a little disappointed. I mean, yes, the segment was fine, but it kind of made me feel like I wanted more from this whole thing. I mean, that's just how I feel, and like I said, I'm with Anthony on this with his criticism. So, I mean, the segment was fine, but it it just felt more like filler to me. So that's just my honest opinion. Fletch, it's yours.
I mean, okay, I'll give you that. I'm not gonna argue it. It was fine. It was good. I can't wait for the match. I think it's gonna be awesome. Um, I hate to say this, but it looks like now the Bloodline might be the favorites going into this, especially after what happened. We'll wait and see, but there's really nothing more to add here. So, yeah, we get the ultimate payoff. We get everything that has happened. So, yeah. So the lead, here we go. Mike Bullock, you get to lead off overall review for SmackDown.
Yeah, I thought it was a fine show. I mean, it wasn't anything special. I'll give it about maybe 6.5. I mean, there were some things I thought could have been better for this during the final SmackDown before WrestleMania Backlash, but all in all, they did good for what it was. So 6.5 for me. Fletch, it's yours.
No arguments for me about 6.5. Maybe you can say maybe 7, but I know 7 might be a little bit of a reach. But it was still a fine show. It was, we got quality stuff going into tomorrow night's show. So Anthony, it's yours, and then we'll get into the preview of WrestleMania Backlash.
I'll give it 6.5 to 7. I mean, we had 3 solid matches, even though one of them was an NA with Zayn and Nakamura. The tables match was really good. The women's match with Sasha Banks and Shayna Baszler was solid as well. And the opening segment with Charlotte and Ronda was very good. And even though the closing segment was good, I mean, it just left me wanting a little more. So, but anyways, 6.5 to 7. So with that, MF, let's preview the show that the 3 of us will be in attendance for tomorrow night.
WrestleMania Backlash from the Dunkin' Donuts Center in Providence, Rhode Island, going down tomorrow night. Second year in a row, we're doing WrestleMania Backlash. Of course, last year was inside the Thunderdome. This time, we got the fans out there. So here we go. Unofficially, we have 6 matches on the fight card as of right now. So we're gonna go in order from top to bottom. One title fight as we speak going into the show. We got Bobby Lashley going one-on-one with Omos, along with MVP. Look, Bobby won at WrestleMania. I think Omos gets the win back here. So I got Omos winning the match. Really nothing more to say here. Anthony, it's yours.
Definitely. It is a tough call. I mean, Lashley defeating Omos at WrestleMania was the right call. Lashley was coming off a recent stint as WWE champion and far too experienced at a high level to lose to a relatively fresh Omos. Having MVP betray Lashley to groom the WWE's next almighty force is an interesting caveat. If MVP can shape Omos into what Lashley is, that would do wonders for MVP's brand. He would arguably be WWE's most successful manager of the modern era, not named Paul Heyman. Logically, it is a stretch for Omos to to meaningfully close the competitive gap to Lashley in just a month, with or without MVP. But now MVP cheating his former client out of a win, totally believable. I believe Omos will take the win, and I think MVP could end up maybe being a benefactor here. So I'm going to say Omos, by nefarious means, evens the score with Bobby Lashley. So, Michael Bullock, are we going to make it unanimous?
I'm going to make it unanimous. I'm going with Omos here, and yeah, I think MVP is going to be the difference maker, and he's gonna have his say in this, and he's gonna cost Bobby Lashley a chance for back-to-back wins over Omos here. So Omos wins. Next match, Fletch.
Happy Corbin going one-on-one with Madcap Moss. Anthony?
How much better would this match be if it were Baron Corbin versus Riddick Moss?
Yeah.
I mean, but anyways, there's a bit of charm to this as something of a 90s mid-card throwback, the kind of feud that'd be blown off in a pay-per-view blindfold match, second in the show's running order. But anyways, I think Corbin's going to cheat his way to a win to teach his former friend a valuable lesson. You would really hope that WWE is committed to elevating Madcap Moss after they booked him to win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal last month. Well, 5 of the other 7 superstars, Cesaro, The Big Show, Mojo Rawley, Matt Hardy, and Braun Strowman are no longer with the company. And the promotion generally books Corbin quite strongly, having him only follow the top superstars. And the split between Moss and Corbin feels like a multi-match feud, for better or worse. Chances are Corbin takes the win tomorrow night, and we see a rerun at the next major event, which will be next month, Hell in a Cell, from the IWC capital of the world, Chicago. So I'm going to take a chance and say Happy Corbin wins, even though I kind of would like to see Madcap get the win, because I think he needs it more, to be honest with you, especially after winning the Andre Battle Royal. So I'm going to reluctantly go with Corbin, but if Madcap were to steal it, I wouldn't be surprised. So this is the toughest one to call for me. So with all that being said, Michael Bullock, I think Madcap needs it more, but I don't know. I got this iffy feeling Corbin takes it.
Well, I'm actually going to go with Madcap Moss. I mean, obviously with him winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, and then I just think he needs this victory more than Happy Corbin does. So I'm going to take a chance and go with Madcap Moss here. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Fletch, it's yours.
I think it's going to be Corbin. I'm with Florio. I even though I want Madcap to win it, but I just feel like Corbin's going to steal it. I think he's going to win it, and it's not going to be a fair victory, no doubt about it. I think it's going to be a backdoor style victory more than anything else, but it is what it is. So we'll move on. These next 4 matches are going to be highlights of the night. Starting it off with AJ Styles one-on-one with Edge. Damian Priest has been barred from ringside. Michael Bullock, AJ, and Edge one-on-one. Something's got to give.
Yeah, something's got to give in this one, and let's just say, unlike those yahoos in Dallas who were so not into that match, the 3 of us, along with the people in Providence, we're going to be into this second encounter, and we're going to show them how it's done here. So, yeah, Edge getting the victory at WrestleMania over AJ Styles with some help from Damian Priest. I mean, I just think this makes it an easy decision here. I think I got to go with AJ Styles to win this one and give him the win back. And I got a feeling that even after this match, this feud must continue because Edge has already won one, and I think AJ Styles is going to win this one. So where the rubber match will go, we'll have to wait and find out. So I'm going with the phenomenal AJ Styles. Fletch, it's yours.
Pretty much the rubber fight will be a Hell in a Cell. And who knows, they might actually have them fight inside Hell in a Cell because these 2 guys would be worthy of it. So no doubt about it. I'll give it to AJ Styles. I think he'll get the win back. I think it'll be an awesome victory for him. Really nothing more to add. So Anthony, it's yours.
It's only because of the stipulation of Priest being barred from ringside. I mean, and we all know WWE loves 50-50 booking. And AJ took the loss at WrestleMania after being distracted by the simple presence of Damian Priest. The question of why the greatest pro wrestlers in the world are always so easily distracted is one for another time. Styles managed to beat Priest this past Monday on Raw to get him banned from ringside. Styles probably gets the win here to even it up, unless WWE is so in love with Edge's new character that in his heel persona that they just want to have him run wild, possibly by introducing a third member into his alliance, but for Judgment Day. But nonetheless, I think AJ will get the win back because of Priest being barred from ringside. So I'll go with AJ. Hopefully AJ wins it. We even it up, and then we get the rubber match. Maybe inside Hell in a Cell next month in Chicago, IWC capital of the world.
Yeah.
We'll see. And that'll definitely be a show stealer for sure. So with that, it's AJ for me. I think we all made it unanimous. So let's move on to the next big main event match.
Seth freaking Rollins versus the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes. This is going to be a special match. And I cannot believe we're getting this in Providence, man. This is going to be wild. The crowd is 50-50. You know there's Rollins fans. You know there's Nightmare fans. This is a toss-up. There's no clear-cut favorite in this fight. First time around, okay. I'll give you Cody because Cody made his return. So obviously they were going to give him the win. This time around, I'm not as sure that Cody walks out of here with a victory because of the fact of Rollins and his momentum and everything he got. And they may want to do a trilogy here and give us one more fight in Chicago at the next pay-per-view, the Hell in a Cell. This is also another Hell in a Cell worthy match. I think I'm going to go with Rollins here. I don't know why. I want to be wrong because I think Cody is on the verge of maybe getting a title shot. But I think they're going to want to wait a little bit before they pull the trigger on that. So for me, right now, I'm going to say it. I'm going to go with Seth freaking Rollins. I think Rollins wins, but I could see him backdooring this one to continue the storyline a little bit more. But I just feel like this is the moment where Seth needs to get the win back. You know, Floyo, you alluded to the 50-50 booking. I think this is one of those moments. So, winner, Seth Rollins. I'm calling for Rollins to beat Cody tomorrow night.
Oh, man. There's the right thing to do and the WWE thing. For me, the right thing is to have Cody win again. If you want him to come back as a star, he needs to be winning matches. As I just said, yes, WWE loves to utilize the 50-50 booking, which would indicate Rollins would get the win here to even this up. There is a bit of good that could come from a 1-1 series if WWE puts Rhodes and Rollins in Hell in a Cell, where both men, masters of the big match, could truly shine. And for better or worse, that's why MF is expecting Rollins to sneak out of Backlash with a win. On the other hand, WWE appears committed to pushing Cody Rhodes to the top. He was given an elaborate star-making entrance for his long-rumored return to the company at WrestleMania. Rollins is a tremendous performer between the ropes, and in a perfect world, Rollins would not take 2 straight losses, but Cody Rhodes has too much momentum behind him, and anything but a win should be considered a major setback. And give the son of a plumber his win, and let's keep chugging along. So I can understand where MF is coming from, but at the same time, I just got this feeling about Cody Rhodes. So I'm actually going to say Cody Rhodes wins this and continues his momentum. But if Seth Rollins were to win, I would not at all be surprised. So this is the real toughest match to call right here. So not much more to say here. I'm going to take a chance on Cody Rhodes. But Bullock, if Seth Rollins were to steal it, we wouldn't be surprised. And you know he'll be doing his ha that we love so much. That's become one of our newest running gags on our Raw chats.
Yeah, this is a tough one for me to call. I mean, look, Cody Rhodes, he got the win at WrestleMania, but part of me wants to see Cody make it back-to-back wins, but I don't know. I just got this feeling that I think they're gonna want to give the victory to Seth Rollins here. So I'm actually gonna go with Seth Rollins here. But if Cody Rhodes does win here, I would not at all be surprised. So I'm gonna take my chance and go with Seth freaking Rollins to win this one. But again, I will not be surprised if excuse me, if Cody Rhodes does pick up the win here. So there's really nothing more for me to add. So Fletch, it is yours.
Now we come to the two big matches left. I think this is, even though I know that probably the women's match will be the main event, I'd rather do the women's match next. Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair. I quit for the SmackDown women's title. Anthony Florio, you lead off.
WWE waited a month longer than anticipated to make the move, but there seems to be little doubt Ronda Rousey will get the win here. Rousey's return has flopped with a sizable portion of the fans, and the feud with Flair hasn't helped. But WWE wants to get a belt back on the former UFC champion, and they picked the kind of match where she can get it done, even as Flair utilizes underhanded tactics to try to hold on to the title. The question becomes, will we see these two happen again inside Hell in a Cell? Here's another Hell in a Cell worthy match. And while it was a pleasant surprise to see Charlotte go over Ronda at WrestleMania, albeit by nefarious means, many, including myself, predicted Rousey's triumphant return at the Royal Rumble in January to translate into an immediate title run. That outcome may have only been delayed a month, but Flair got a major moment closing out WrestleMania as a consequence. The I Quit stipulation lends well to both women's submission arsenals. It's tough to imagine former UFC champion Rousey uttering those dreaded words to the dastardly Flair. Give Rousey the nod and book the rubber match, maybe inside Hell in a Cell, because here's another one that's worthy of it. But I'm gonna go for it here. I'm gonna say the winner and new SmackDown Women's Champion, Ronda Rousey. Agree or disagree with that, Bullock?
I agree with you. Rousey's return has been a little something here, obviously, where the fans stand with all this. So, but I think this is the time where Ronda Rousey will have her moment and become the new SmackDown Women's Champion. So I'm with you, Florio. Winner and the new SmackDown Women's Champion, Ronda Rousey. So, Fletch, it is yours.
I'm going to call it too. Ronda wins the title. There's really nothing more to add there, so we're just going to move on. Main event, 6-man tag team fight. RK Bro and Drew McIntyre versus the Bloodline, the Usos, and Roman Reigns. I believe, Michael Bullock, you lead off on what undoubtedly they were booking this as the main event, and I believe this should be the main event.
Yeah, I believe this should be the main event as well. Yes, even though it's no longer a title unification match, but with the way this is, this should be the main event. Will it be? We'll find out, but this is a tough one for me to call here. I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to go with the Bloodline here. They've been the most dominant faction right now in WWE, and I just don't see them losing that momentum as of right now. So I'm taking a chance, and I'm going with the Bloodline here. So, Fletch, it is yours.
obviously going into this, you got to call for the bloodline to win. Um, Whenever it's a big match, big moment, anything on the line like this, the bloodline normally walks away with the victory. Even though if Drew wins the match, I don't think he's going to get it on Roman. He'll get it on one of the Usos. So then Roman will have a reason to be griping and everything else. He'd say, I didn't get pinned. But the thing is, you were part of the match and you were part of the losing squad. And the one thing is, the one person that probably benefits it would be Drew McIntyre because then it would make him literally a legitimate contender for the SmackDown title or Raw title. Remember, Roman's got both belts. So Drew doesn't necessarily have to call out for the Universal title. He could go after the WWE Championship, which is Monday Night Raw's belt, and maybe we see McIntyre win that belt, bring that to Raw, and Anthony, you would have McIntyre back in the fold as your frontline soldier for Monday Night Raw. You never know. So we got to wait and see how this plays out. Obviously, we're going to say Bloodline wins, but there's a caveat where you could see an argument where McIntyre and RK Bro walks out of it with the W. So we'll see, but this is going to be a heck of a match. That's all it's going to be. This is going to be chaos all over the place. So Florio, it's yours.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. I mean, there's no titles on the line, which is a damn shame. Because of that, I think it seems like an obvious choice to have RK Bro and Drew McIntyre win to set up the team to challenge in title matches in the near future. It's very hard to see Roman losing if his belt is on the line, even if a 6-man tag with all belts up for grabs allows for a cheap out to have McIntyre pin an Uso and break up Reigns' status as an undisputed champion. But this is a setup for a longer play than any titles changing hands or the tag titles being unified. RK Bro versus the Usos remains one of the best feuds actively being presented in either AEW or WWE. Randy Orton, in particular, has taken to the microphone with serious conviction and made the tag team titles feel as important as they have in a long time. And Riddle has delivered great television matches with both Usos. Injecting Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre into the storyline had a lot of promise at first because Reigns was the one who demanded the Usos unify the Raw and SmackDown Tag Team Championships, much like he did with the WWE and Universal Championships at Mania. With the Usos constantly falling short to RK Bro, Reigns would take matters into his own hands to assure the Bloodline's continued dominance. That forecast is in doubt as it appears that no titles will be contended for in the 6-man tag match, which, like I said, is a shame, but the match will be solid. If WWE is going to stretch out RK Bro versus the Usos and Reigns versus McIntyre to another event, expect the babyfaces to take the nod, and the Bloodline will get it back next time. So I disagree with you guys. I'm going with RK Bro and Drew McIntyre to win this match. And it's only the beginning because it's going to set up a big-time feud with Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre. However, MF, as much as I love your scenario, that's a great scenario, but I don't see that happening. I think Drew McIntyre is going to go after the Universal Championship, and I think Cody Rhodes is going to go after the WWE Championship. That's just how I feel. And I think Cody could end up being my new frontline soldier on Team Red, and I wouldn't mind it, especially with this version of him. No way. I would not mind that at all. So with that, RK Bro, Drew McIntyre win the match. And so with that, we gotta now go into the TXN Sports World portion of this very special edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk. So MF, we'll be starting that with the Bruins beat, as Michael Bullock will be coming up frontline center, and I know he's going to do it with a nice little grin on his face after the Boston Bruins finally figured out a way to beat those Carolina Hurricanes that had our number during the regular year. But so with that, MF, Ewan Bullock front and center for you got the Bruins beat and the Celtics chat. So I'm sure MF is probably getting his notes ready for both of that. So we got the Bruins beat coming up. We got the Celtics chat, and then MF and I will close it out with the Rangers roundup. And only this first one is good news. The other two, not so much. So MF, Ewan Bullock, center stage, front row center for the Bruins beat.
Yeah, so the Bruins basically before the next game, they went with Jeremy Swayman to take in net. They did a goalie change. Well, it looks like the goalie change worked because the Bruins won the game 4-2. But it did start out traditional. Victor Trocheck scored the first goal at 9:17. But then the Bruins explode. 4 unanswered goals. Started with Charlie Coyle, a shorthanded goal. Jacob DeBrusk with the assist. That was at 17-16. And then in the second period, it was all Boston Bruins. Brad Marchand getting the goal. Patrice Bergeron with the assist at 5:41. Then David Pastrnak, a power play goal. Charlie Coyle and Brad Marchand with the assist. And then starting the third period, Taylor Hall with the goal. That made it 4-1 Boston. Then Jeremy Slavin, an unassisted at 11:30. That was the end of the game. The Bruins wins it. Final score 4-2. The 3 stars of the game was Derek Forbert. He got the number 3 star. Charlie Coyle got the number 2 star, and Big Bad Brad Marchand getting the number 1 star. Michael Bullock, you were probably like, what the heck happened to the Bruins in the first 2 games? You know, like we were saying, outscored 10-3. Boy, were they lighting the lamp at TD Garden last night, man. They flipped a switch, and finally, we have ourselves a series.
Yes, and all I can say is, Fletch, nothing like a little home cooking to really get you back in the series. I mean, getting back to the TD Garden was something the Bruins needed, and Jeremy Swayman basically was the difference. I mean, switching to him, and he played a pretty good game in goal. And it's a lot of guys really stepping up with obviously Taylor Hall and Brad Marchand. I mean, yeah, this was a game the Bruins really needed. Because if they lost this one, this series was over. No doubt about it. But they did what they had to do. They got the win. Now they got to go into Game 4 tomorrow afternoon. Can they repeat it and send the series back to Carolina, even at 2 games apiece? Because if we do, then it becomes a best of 3. So we'll wait and see, but yeah, so there's really nothing more for me to add. I mean, Fletch, this was a game the Bruins had to have, and they got it. So if they pull it off, we got ourselves a best of 3. And then we can officially say the Bruins are officially back in this series. So it's yours, Fletch.
Absolutely. Now we shift gears just for a minute. We go from the NHL. We'll get back to the NHL in a little bit, to the NBA. And Celtic fans, this one is gonna sting a little. Final score tonight between Game 3 of Eastern Conference second round, Boston Celtics versus Milwaukee Bucks. Bucks wins the game 103-101. And let me tell you guys, if you guys were watching the game, you're thinking, oh, this was close. This was actually a closer game. It was close, but Milwaukee jumped out to a 14-point lead, and Boston chipped away. They almost caught the Bucks. They almost got them at the end. Unfortunately, they did not get enough. There wasn't enough time. If you give it maybe a couple of more minutes, maybe we talk about the Celtics pulling one of the greatest comebacks in NBA playoff history, and they almost got the Bucks and almost took them out in their own house here tonight. Star of the game, of course, Giannis Antetokounmpo with 42 points and 12 rebounds. Al Horford, 22 points and 16 rebounds, a double-double. Michael Bullock, this one, like, it looked like the Celtics were going to get blown out of the building. Oh, my God, what a comeback. But, just 2 points short from making one of the greatest comebacks in NBA history. Celtics fall in a heartbreaker.
Man, this is going to be a tough pill to swallow, Fletch. I mean, yeah, they were trailing and they almost pulled it off, and oh man, I mean, it's going to be tough for these fans to swallow this one. I mean, this is going to be a tough one to. Yeah, it's basically a tough pill to swallow, and they had their opportunities, and unfortunately, just. But here's the thing, and Fletch, I don't know where you stand with this, but the refs made some non-calls that probably went against the Celtics. I mean, I saw some fouls that could have gone the way of the Celtics, but unfortunately it didn't, because you could just see some of the Celtics players were very upset with some of the calls that went against them. So, but anywho, I mean, like I said, the Celtics had their chances and just couldn't get it done at the end. So now they trail 2-1 with the series. I think it's is it Monday night, Fletch, Game 4?
I can confirm that for you, Bullock. Yes, Game 4 is Monday night in Milwaukee.
Yeah, so Game 4 is Monday night. They have a chance to try to even the series before it goes back to Boston. So there's really nothing more to say. So Fletch, I mean, they almost had it, but I don't know about you, but some of the refereeing in this game was a little questionable.
Oh, I agree with that. I mean, they've been very inconsistent in this postseason, no doubt about it. There's no argument there. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see how it goes. But yeah. So we'll just go and we'll move on. And now Anthony Florio is front and center because here comes the Ranger Roundup. It is the Pittsburgh Penguins versus the New York Rangers. And yeah, here we go. Game 3 of the Eastern Conference first round matchup. Started it off with the Penguins scoring 2 minutes into the game, 1:57, with McGinn getting the goal. There was a little controversy because it looked like one of the Rangers knocked the goal off its moorings, but there is a rule. I think it's called 53-7. This rule came in effect not once but twice, and we'll talk about it. And the rule states that if any player accidentally or deliberately knocks the goal off its moorings where an opportunity for a goal to count, the goal will count under referee's discretion. The referees gave it a good goal, which by the letter of the law is the correct call. So no screw job here, guys. And we'll talk about it later on because the Rangers benefited from that very same rule. We'll get into that in a little bit. But that's where the first goal scored. It was unassisted. So 2 minutes in, the Rangers were already down 1-0. Then the kid line struck. Capo Caco getting the goal at 5:08 with Philip Hedl and Alexis Lafreniere. Then the Penguins literally blew the doors off the Rangers. Jeff Carter with the goal, power play goal. Rodriguez and Matheson with the assist. Then Rodriguez gets a goal, a power play goal. Matheson and Dominique with the assist. And then Rodriguez with the second goal of the game. Boyle with the assist. At the end of one, it was 4-1 Pittsburgh. You're thinking, oh my God, the Rangers are going to get blown out of the building. It's gonna be a massacre. Well, second period starts, and the coach, Gerard Gallant, does a shocking move. He actually takes out Igor Shestankin and puts in Alexander Georgiev as the goaltender for the Rangers. All right. How's that going to react? How the Rangers going to react to that? By literally kicking the living daylights out of the Pittsburgh Penguins in the second period. It was all New York. Victor Petrano with the first goal, assisted by Chris Kreider and Mika Zibanejad. Then Anteri Panarin with the goal. Stroman Fox with the assist. And then a shorthanded goal by Andrew Kopp, assisted by Kevin Rooney. At the end of the second period, it was 4-4. New York comes back from 3 goals down to tie the game. And you're thinking, here we go. The brawl is on. Well, unfortunately for New York, they ran out of gas. The Penguins gets 3 goals of their own, but 2 of them were empty netters. So technically, it was Hellman getting the goal at 11:02. That was the game winner. But then Jake Gansel and Carter both get empty net goals. Basically, the Rangers was looking for the game tying goal, just couldn't do it. They basically went all in with the 6 attackers. That led to some openings for the Penguins. 7-4 is the final score. The 3 stars of the game was Denton Hellman. He got the number 1 star. Evan Rodriguez gets the number 2 star. Jeff Carter with the number 3 star. Anthony, the way that this game went, it looked like New York was going to get blown out. Even though it was a 7-4 final score, and on the score sheet, it looks like it was a lot. If you were watching the game, this game was a lot more closer than what the final score dictates. If you're a Rangers fan, you're thinking, all right, we're down. But man, we did not give up in this fight.
What's our motto? No quit in NY.
No.
You know that. And I'll show it to you tomorrow night when we get together. And I'll explain then. But for right now, man. When they came back from 4-1 down to tie it at 4, I was so encouraged. I was like, oh my goodness, we might have a shot at this thing. And then when I saw the final score 7-4, I'm like, oh man. Those knuckleheads got us again. But they did. Credit to them, without a doubt. Carter with the 2 goals, one of my stars of the game. To me, Rodriguez was the star of the game because he had 2 goals and an assist. Brock McGinn, he played very well tonight, goal and an assist. He also had 5 hits on top of that. Gensel continuing. He's got 4 goals now in 3 games. And Brian Rust, solid game. He had 4 hits. Jason Zucker, 7 hits for Pittsburgh. Our old friend Brian Boyle, he had 2 blocks and 2 takeaways for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Also had an assist. Mike Matheson, very, very nice game for him as well. 3 assists. Letang, great game on the block on the defensive end. He had 4 blocks. He had 3 takeaways. Had a hit. Pedersen, a couple of hits and a block, and Louis Domingue with 32 saves on 36 shots. Credit where credit is due to the Pittsburgh Penguins, and they got the win tonight. Game 4 now, Monday night. Another must win for the New York Rangers. As far as who were the top players on our side, I mean, definitely not Shesterkin. I mean, yeah, Coach Gallant definitely did the right thing getting him out of there. But Georgiev, he did his best. I mean, 19 saves on 20 shots. And, I mean, he kept us in it. Of course, on the other side, Kreider, 5 hits on the night, had a couple of takeaways with an assist. One of my stars of the game for us. Frankie Vetrano. I mean, here's a young man who's come out of nowhere. He had a goal tonight. He also had 3 hits. He also had 2 blocks. Another one of my stars of the night. Kevin Rooney, an assist, 2 hits, 2 blocks, 2 takeaways. Great game for him. Andrew Kopp had a goal, had 2 takeaways, a block and a hit. Panarin finally gets on the score sheet. Zibanejad gets on the score sheet. Panarin with a goal. Zibanejad with an assist. Kakko with a goal there. Lafreniere with an assist, had a couple hits. On the defensive end, Jacob Trouba was our star. He had 7 hits, had a block, had a takeaway. Keandre Miller, 3 hits and a takeaway. Patrick Nemeth with 3 hits. Schneider had a couple hits and a block, and Fox with an assist and a takeaway. So definitely a rough night for us tonight. I mean, it's almost like what we had in the Celtics game. I mean, Pittsburgh dominated early, and then we came all the way back to tie it up, and then they got hot again, and we ran out of gas, and that's all there is to it. But there's no quit in New York. There is no quit in NY as our battle cry, as we've seen it on social media. And I'll say it like we said the other night. Monday night in Game 4, we're coming to play. That's all there is to it. We are coming to play. And I believe we can get this thing. We can get this thing to 2-2 and get this thing back to a split before we head back to the Garden for game number 5, which I believe would be on Wednesday. And then it would guarantee another game in Pittsburgh for game 6. But we're down 2-1, yes, but I'm not losing hope. There's no quitting this team. I'm not quitting. MF's not quitting. We're gonna stick by it and take it a game at a time. But know this: we're coming to play in Game 4, and not only are we coming to play, but I believe we're gonna win Game 4. I believe it. We can, we will. Believe that. That was our battle cry from years ago. I'm bringing it back here tonight, and you know how far that got us. So we bring that back, we're gonna be just fine. So yes, we had to take one on the chin tonight, MF, but rest assured, we're coming to play in Game 4 Monday night, and we're damn sure gonna steal that sucker. We're getting this thing back. We're gonna draw even before we go back to the Garden for that pivotal Game 5. Believe that.
All right, guys, and we're out of here. So we're done for the night. Monday night is a special edition of Ridiculously Raw, hosted by Anthony Florio. Yeah,
Yep.
Anthony.
Yep, and I want to let you and I want to ask. Do we want to do the WrestleMania Backlash recap on that show, guys?
Yeah, let's do it. So
right.
No Tony's take.
All right.
We will have No Tony's take. Anthony will take over, and he will have it for us. The WrestleMania Backlash recap, and then Monday Night Raw. So that'll be the plan at 11 p.m. Eastern on the Tone 25. So for Anthony Florio, for Michael Bullock, I'm Michael Fletcher. Have a good night, everybody, and we'll see you on Monday night.